Welcome back to my Final Fantasy XIV drama series. Today's drama story is about Friendly Man of Gridania. If you enjoy these kinds of videos, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. I like how the plant is like coming out of your neck. So this happened around March to June last year of 2021. At the time, I had been playing Final Fantasy for around 3 months. I was all caught up with the MSQ, and my day-to-day was mostly relic collection, but whenever I was taking a break or just talking to friends in Gridania, I would look at the Sprout players and see if there would be anything I can help them with. Whether it's give them some gil, glamour prisms, crafting them some soon-to-be replaced gear, and a glowy weapon of their choice. This is how I met Dani. I saw her wearing the Neza lady outfit as functional gear instead of glamour. So I gave her some glamour prisms and explained the glamour system to her. She thanked me for it, saying that she was starting to get annoyed from taking so much damage while trying to make her character look good. That's so funny. So I asked if she had any other questions about the game or anything she needs help with. Every day we would chat and hang out while doing her MSQ or showing her how to do things she seemed interested in. One night she introduced me to her friends and also mentioned how they were really far ahead of her in game, and that's why they don't play together often. They had an FC with what at the time was 7 members, and I joined after a week or 2. Most of them needed help with running Castrum and Praetorium because they didn't want to run with random people, because they didn't think they were good enough. I tried to reassure them and said that I would run it with them, which we did end up doing. Dani wasn't at that point in the MSQ yet, so I promised that I would run it again whenever she reaches those duties. After a while of hanging out and running duties with them whenever they needed help, I got an invitation to their FC Discord and introduced myself properly. Dani and I attended an in-game wedding that we were randomly invited to while hanging out, and we told the group, and they all got excited about the marriage system and started proposing to one another because they all wanted the minions, mounts, and glam. I thought it was a good idea to ask Dani to have an internal bonding for convenience since it can be broke off after 10 days, and I mentioned that it was explicitly for the items. That's when things started to change. After that day, they started to be more distant from me, except Dani, who would still run roulettes with me from time to time, often inviting another friend of hers, who we will call Kaz. I didn't really have a problem with Kaz at first. Whenever it was the 3 of us, he was friendly towards me, and we shared some common interests, but if she wasn't logged in at the time, he would just not say hello or reply to me, only speaking to Dani whenever she was online, which at some point started to bother me because I didn't like being ignored like that, and I brought this up to her, not saying that he was bad or anything, but just that it was annoying that he acted so friendly unless we were alone. The following days, the group didn't ever answer or respond to me about anything I said. Not even a single hello whenever I talked in the FC chat, which I attributed to a really dark joke I made the prior day, saying something along the lines of, "Quintuple cast makes me want to die," while learning Seat of Sacrifice Extreme. So I apologized to her and mentioned to her that I wasn't in a good headspace and that I was going to leave the FC and the common link shells until I get better. I don't think saying that line is anything bad. We didn't have to apologize for that. People say that all the time, like, I want to kill myself with this party finder. That's very normal. Yeah. From that point, I would only see the group at Gridania AFKing in the same spot I used to AFK at, but I wasn't really going to tell them, hey, that's my spot. It was just a nice place over the plaza canopies. Yeah, that's true. Nobody owns any spot. Anyone can stand there with their characters. About a week or so from when I left, I was deleting inactive players from my friend list, and I noticed they were running Coeurl, the dungeon before the final trial of Heavensward, so I sent a Discord message to the FC leader asking if I could join since that was one of my favorite trials, as well as stating only if they were okay with it. I got no reply, and about 2 hours later, the FC leader sends me a text saying that Danny didn't like my romantic advances and that I should stop following them, which I didn't understand what she meant, but I felt really bad that they were having a bad time because of me, even if it was a misunderstanding. To which I said that I am sorry and we went our separate ways. I thought that would be the end of it, just a misunderstanding and all, right? Well, after a month or so, I made a new pair of friends, Kara and her best friend / RP brother, Might. As soon as my previous FC saw us together, they sent them tells saying that they shouldn't hang out with me, or that if they do, it would be best to be careful that I don't cling on and start having feelings for one of them. Kara confronted me about what happened and I told her my side of the things. She believed me, but Might decided to keep his distance. We weren't on bad terms or anything, just didn't hang out daily like with Kara. Around a week or two later, I get a Discord message from one of the FC members showing me that they were taking screenshots whenever we were anywhere near their AFK spot. Even if we were just talking to other players in Say Chat, adding things like, "Why are they here? Can someone tell him to stop harassing us?" Not so long after that, Kara made a friend inside their FC, Yami. I remember not liking him at first because, well, he was in that FC and that didn't make me feel safe about being around. But after a while, we started hanging out more because of Kara. Mostly doing duties or sharing one of the Gridania benches to chill and chat and party. Apparently he fell out with the FC, not sure exactly why, but he decided to call them out in shout chat saying people like them should just crawl back into Animal Crossing. A few minutes after that, I get a message from the FC leader asking if we could talk, to which I answered that depends on what she wanted to say. She said that it was about how the air was a little tense between the FC and me. So I said that we could talk, but that I was going first, and I proceeded to share that I knew what they've been doing behind my back. She decided to not take any responsibilities, saying that those things should be solved between me and the specific members that aren't getting along. I asked for those members' Discord tags to send them a DM. They denied doing anything, even when I presented the evidence, so it was a lost cause to get them to apologize, and I went back to my conversation with the FC leader. She said that she was hurt from being called out in shout chat and stuff like that, as the FC leader, by someone who used to be in their FC, and that Yami was spending too much time with me, and she was curious to what was told to them. I said that I never told Yami anything about it. After that, she continued to justify why they started ghosting me in the first place until I left the FC, saying that she entered mom mode. So the FC leader is saying she entered mom mode and wanted to protect Danny from me because I seemed jealous of Kaz being around when I knew Danny already had a boyfriend. I told them my side, that I wasn't jealous, just didn't like him because he refused to talk to me unless someone else from the FC was around. She didn't apologize for anything and just said, "Well, I hope this helps clean the air between us, and maybe we can be a little civil and wave at each other moving forward." So after not getting absolutely anything from that, I decided to stop caring about it and just move on. Since then, I'm in a new FC and I've made a lot of friends. The end. So here are my thoughts. I feel like there's possibly a few things that were left out in the story. Because if a girl finds you creepy in any way, there has to be a reason usually, right? So either you were a little bit creepy in some way or some form towards her in her judgment of things, or she's just batshit crazy and making shit up, right? So it's one or the other. So it may have been that the OP came off a little strong with Danny somewhere, or like there's just some line was slightly crossed that she didn't like. Maybe always bothering her or talking to her daily, and she may not have wanted that. Like, yes, you are trying to be helpful, but was there intent underneath that help? I do not know, and only Danny and the OP will ever know, really, because it's a conversation between them. Whatever it may have been, Danny clearly in the story looks like she went to find other people to help her in that situation. Like, she brought in this Kaz guy, right? She started playing with the FC people so that it would sort of look like to the OP like, hey, we're actually friends. Like, I'm inviting people into this group to play with us. She probably mentioned something to Kaz, and that's why Kaz has this, like, he views the OP badly. And that's why, like, he stated in the story, Kaz would only talk nicely when they were all together. But then when Danny wasn't around, he was just like, I don't really like you, like giving off that kind of vibe. So I think that was Danny's way of trying to let the OP know, like, we're friends and we're only going to play together with other people. I think the OP asking Danny to get married may have been something, like he said, this is what started it all. She started becoming distant after this. When the OP started asking Danny if you want to get married, it may have been too forward, even if it's like only a marriage in the game, but to some people, that may not be something they're interested, and they could be worried that it could destroy their friendship. They're like, oh, if we get married in game, would that make things weird? Like, all these questions may have been popping up in her head, and she may have like not wanted that at all. So her fault in all of this was possibly not being honest with the OP, and OP's fault is just like not asking her if anything is wrong and like opening up this conversation to find out the issues between the both of them. The social cue here is that they both knew that there was something wrong and something iffy, and it also seemed like the OP was still looking at whatever they were doing. He said, like, when he would open up his friends list, he saw like they were doing certain things. He saw that Danny and her FC were doing the certain dungeon, right? And he reached out to someone who was doing the dungeon with them and sort of like asked if he could join. So he technically is inviting himself when he knows that Danny's in there and he knows things are weird already with them. So like, how would that look? That would look bad, right? If Danny had been telling everyone in that group like, hey, he's weird, he just wants to do things with me all the time. If you're trying to invite yourself, they're going to be like, oh my God, Danny's right. He does want to do stuff with Danny all the time. So that's my 2 cents about the story. I hope that like OP can learn from this and learn from this mistake to give people the space that they want. Don't try to join things you were never actually invited to. And if you want to solve the issue, message them directly and ask them what's wrong. If they do not want to reply and not tell you anything, then that's that. You got to leave it at that. Move on with your life. And as for the FC leader, it has nothing to do with the FC leader. So that's why she doesn't need to apologize to the OP. It's something between the OP and Danny. And that's it. I think what I love about the stories being submitted is like you're really trying to read like between the lines and trying to understand like, okay, I see your side and why you feel bad about it, but at the same time, I'm trying to understand the other side too, so that you can just like have a solution, hopefully, and understand like, okay, next time this happens, I hope my advice helps you out and how to deal with it. Let's see what chat says. The eternal bonding sometimes gives a lot more trouble than it's worth. Exactly, because there's so many what ifs people think about. Right, like if you had just, if you don't really know this person too well, it's scary to get married to someone you don't know that well in the game, because they could turn out to be crazy and start bugging you a lot. Like, okay, I think Danny thought, okay, this guy already tries to hang out with me all the time, every day. If we get married, he might want to spend 24 hours with me in the day. She also probably knew like her getting married to a random person in the game could make him think other things. So she wanted to avoid that. Anyway, he did state it was for friends, but like we all know sometimes people can say that and they truly want it to be more than that. She either didn't like something or she's just batshit crazy. And I think what it is she just didn't like something, because I can see the signs even throughout the story of like the OP trying to invite himself when it's like, it's not the right time and not the right place. Like you already know it's awkward between you two. Do not invite yourself. I think that was the clue where I was like, yeah, I think something's hidden here. Also, like the whole like hanging out in the one spot together, knowing that like the OP and his 2 friends were hanging out in Gridania, and then like Danny and her FC were also hanging out in the Gridania, and they're just like sort of bickering in the shout chat. I can see why the FC leader was like, all right, I need to freaking like talk to each person and like get this thing settled here, because this is stupid that they keep saying stuff in the shout chat, saying bad things about their FC when it's just like 2 people who just don't get along. Nothing to do with the FC like and the other people in the FC, just 2 people who don't get along. Let me know in the comments below what you thought about this Final Fantasy XIV drama story. If you have any of your own drama stories that you'd like me to share and read out anonymously, feel free to reach out to my Discord, discord.gg/Pathra. And a big thank you to my kind members who support my YouTube content.